Harkless in the room. Jim Harkless. All right, we're up. Arne, you're up.
Wow. Wow. Great morning, great day, great afternoon, great evening, wherever we happen to be in the world. Happy journey to us all. Wow. Hey, people. I'm Arne. I'm back. And happy to be your host for this Tuesday edition of Daily Antidote of Song that is amazingly brought to you every single day by those really good smelling people at Carpe Diem Arts. Give them a hand, y'all. Just for the good smells. Just for the good smells. Okay, it's October 11th. Woo! Zooming by. And I think I see Arlene here. She's going to tell me, I think it's day 900 something. It's been a minute since I've been here. But let's get this party started by saying greetings to our Facebook Live family. Okay, y'all know the drill. To the left, up top, to the right, on the bottom. Now to the right, up top, to the left, on the bottom. And then just go ahead and wave to each other in the room here. And Satara, if you're out there, I'm sending you love. And I always like starting the hellos to the one and only JoJo Rossi, who's going to be my friend whether she wants to or not. Busy Graham, we've got Diane, we've got Denise, there's Munit, who else? Christine, Katie, Anna, Aaron, and then our magically beautiful Zoom guru for the day is the one and only jamming on the one, Jaden. Give her a hand, everybody. Give her a hand. Okay, let's get started with these rumors in this room in the zoomers in the room. I said it right finally. Zoomers in the room. Okay, I'm so glad to see JoJo Rossi. So glad to see Jaden on tech. So glad to see Claire in Boise. So glad to see Baba James Harkless. Bow down, yes sir. So glad to see my friend Arlene in Berkeley. So glad to see one curly top, two curly tops. I love it. So glad to see Dan in Vienna. And there's my friend Kevin in DC with the magic flute. Always great to have you here, sir. And there's Cheryl in UK. Hey, Cheryl, how are you? So glad to see Kathleen in Albuquerque. So glad. Is that my Bonnie? That's my Bonnie with a mask on. I can still tell in Ida. Okay. There's Mabel with a bear. Mabel and a bear in Massachusetts. Happy to have you here. Oh, there's Luda and Mark and Victoria giving me love. Oh, I'm receiving it. I need it all. It's so great to see you all again. Is that my friend Storm? Yes, Storm. So happy to see you. Susan Miller in Seattle. And there's Caroline in DC, my book reading partner. Oh my goodness. Amanda and Miles in Michigan. Hey everybody. Oh, there's Susan G. It feels like I've been gone forever. And she's wearing my color orange. Thank you so much for that, Susan. There's Mariah in San Jose. Yes, I do know the way. And Ruth in Birmingham, UK. Good to see you. Sheila in Florida. Deborah in Kentucky. Hello to you. Jenny in Suffolk, UK. Great to see you. There's Gary with all the solutions. Hey, Deli. Happy to see you today. Kathy's in Virginia. Fred in Silver Spring. Annette. Hello to you. Lovely having you here today. Diane. Weinstein, thank you for being here. Jamie in Victoria, Jane in Texas. We got Aloysius somewhere in the world. Martha Wagner, always lovely to see you. Kevin, hey, thank you. Day 919. Thank you, Kevin, for that. We've got Simke in Maryland. There's Louise. There's Sherry in New Hampshire. LMG, Carol J in Connecticut. Sarah Page in Texas. There's Nancy in Berkeley, another West Coaster. Hoda in BC. Good to have you here. Loriana and friends. Bob and a bear. Okay, we got another bear on the line here from Massachusetts. Margaret Wells is here, and Sandy E. from Weston, North Carolina is here. This is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day. And if you happen to be new to Daily Antidote of Song, please feel free to right now, at this moment, identify yourself in the chat. Give us your first name, your city, your country, your galaxy, perhaps, or whatever planetary formation you happen to be on. Let us know how you found us today and what brought you to tune in. Okay, thank you, Kevin, for bringing it up. Day 919. Let's give ourselves a huge hand. Today is the birthday of Thich Nhat Hanh. Y'all know him? The luminous Vietnamese Buddhist monk, teacher, and writer and peace activist. I got many of his books. There's two I can recommend. The Love Letter. Was it Love Letter to the Earth? And The Art of Communicating. Thich Nhat Hanh, we can say happy birthday to him. And I am happy to be in communication with our guest song leader today, who is making his maiden voyage here on Daily Antidote of Song. He's mainly known as a traditional folk music artist. He sings, he plays guitar, concertina, banjo, fiddle, mandolin. He loves to sing music of the sea, the land, work, and play. He loves to play with people, with music from all around in the first do-it-yourself music. Okay, we have to discuss that, the DIY. Um, Specifically, he's a singer of historic songs and a singer of contemporary songs and a singer of the people songs. And he's actually a bona fide sailor. And today I get the opportunity to find out why a sailor went to CCC. He's going to tell us all. Coming to us from upstate Rotterdam, New York, everybody give a rousing first time welcome. Put your hands up and together for our new friend, Chris Koldewey. Hello, Chris Koldewey.
Hello all. Hello all. How great to be here.
So
Um,
happy to have you here. How are you today? How you feeling?
I'm doing pretty well. Pretty well. We just got back from a wonderful weekend up in Sagamore, up in the Adirondacks, with no Wi-Fi, no telephone, nothing.
Bliss.
Sitting around playing 3 days of folk music with some really old, wonderful friends. So it was great. So
That
I'm all
sounds incredible.
yeah, good
Oh,
stuff.
let's get into the song you're going to share with us. What is the song,
Alrighty.
please?
This is something that was actually written by an actual whalerman. His name was Benjamin Franklin Gallup from Connecticut, and it was written in 1856. And we'll tell you more about it. I'm going to sing it all the way through. It's got a chorus, and then we'll teach the chorus, have a little talk about what's going on in this, and what some of the stuff meant. Hopefully, this will generate some questions for you about what is he singing about, and we'll get to that. So it's called "One Year on a Blubber Hunter." Come, all you young and jolly lads, and listen to my song. 'Tis of a blubber hunter that to Bedford does belong. 'Twas in the year of 55 when she from Bedford went, and when we had been out a year we didn't have a cent. And come along, oh come along, I say. Come along, the jolly lads, we'll go another way. And when we've been a season north in this true and steady barge, we'll then go into some good port, get a true discharge. 'Twas on one summer's morning when my mind was not at ease, that I picked up my traps and started to sail upon the seas. The voyage was long and tedious as around the world we went, and when to Bedford we arrived we didn't have a cent. And come along, I say. Come along, the jolly lads, we'll go another way. And when we've been a season north in this true and steady barge, we'll then go into some good port and get a true discharge. We had on board a mixed-up crew as ever went to sea. The nations aided number 10 besides the Portuguese. Now some were black and some were white and some to sea were sent, and some had been a great expense to our federal government. And oh come along, I say. Come along, the jolly lads, we'll go another way. And when we've been a season north in this true and steady barge, we'll then go into some good port and get a true discharge. Oh, some of the boys did feel all right, and some were very sick, and some did get an extra rap and some an extra kick. But I'll tell to you the honest truth as I had it told to me. If you want to see the elephant, you better go to sea. And come along, oh come along, I say. Come along, me jolly lads, we'll go another way. And when we've been a season north in this true and steady barge, we'll then go into some good port, get a true discharge. Okay,
This, I don't know if you know, but everybody was already singing.
all right. That's going to make this a whole lot easier. So,
we
come along, come along, come along, I say. So, come along, oh, come along, I say. Try it. Oh, come along, and come along, I say. Come along, me jolly lads, we'll go another way. Give it a shot. Come along, me jolly lads, we'll go another way. Try that whole thing. Then come along, oh, come along, I say. Come along, me jolly lads, we'll go another way. Very good. I can see your mouths moving correctly. That's why I'm not just saying this. And when we've been a season north in this true and steady barge, and when we've been a season north in this true and steady barge, we'll then go into some good port and get a true discharge. We'll then go into some good port and get a true discharge. And when, try the whole thing, those two couplets, and when we've been a season north in this true and steady barge, we'll then go into some good port and get a true discharge. A discharge was being let off the hook, getting out of that voyage that was going to be, on average, 2 to 5 years was your average whaling voyage.
Whoa.
Okay?
Wow.
So let's
I
try
thought
the
that was well, hold on, Chris. I thought that was perhaps the name of a drink. 'Cause this feels like a drinking song. Here's the thing, Chris. We
yes.
have the song already, and we're going to reprise it. We're going to reprise it at the end. But there's just so many questions I have for you. Thank you so much for being here. The first thing, tell us that backdrop you've got. I'm guessing it's Zoom generated,
It
but it's
is. That
probably got
is
some significance.
that is my great great grandfather's vessel. He was a polar explorer um, back in the 1860s for the country of Germany at the time, and there he went the farthest up the coast of Greenland. There were actually two expeditions, and the first of his vessels is still around and part of the German Maritime Museum, and it's still sailing and is actually part of a European movement to reduce carbon emissions because there's a up in Spitsbergen in Norway, there's a polar research station that is measuring the amount of carbon in the atmosphere and is actually named after him. So,
Wow. Can we see it a bit? And what's the name of the vessel? Incredible. Incredible. What's the name of the vessel?
that one is called the Germania, and the first one was called the Greenland, and that's why. Actually, if you Google obscure little islands, there are a couple. There's an island off of the coast of Greenland that's got our family name, and there's a up also in the Northwest Territories and some of the work up there because he was also looking for the Northwest Passage up through Canada.
Wow. Can we give his name a shout out? And do you have a photo of him by any chance?
Sure, I do. This is the fella.
Look at you ready.
He'll
Look at
look
you. What's his name?
he'll look remarkably familiar.
Oh, we
Okay.
love it. Tell us his
See
name
how
again,
he's
please.
looking remarkably familiar? Anyway,
Yes, you have the same earlobes. I can definitely tell.
thank you.
Okay.
Yes, and I have none of his skills. He was actually he taught celestial navigation in Hamburg in Germany in the latter part of his career. So
Wow.
I on the other hand taught music. So
We love that. Okay, I need to see that concertina. Can you hold it up so we can look at it, please? And oh, wow. Is there, do you have a name for it?
Harold. No, it is no. This is a this is a wheatstone that actually, if you're familiar with any of the folk people that were out of New York City over the last 40 or 50 years, this once belonged to Jerry Epstein, who was a really super. He was a super collector and assimilator of wonderful folk music. And this is a style of concertina called an English system, and that is different from the Anglo-German system. Too short a time to actually get into that right now,
Sure.
but
Hmm.
this, you should know that this is my historical inaccuracy. The likelihood that the English went to sea was very remote. And the reason is, at the time, even at the time, they were cost prohibitive, rather difficult to play for the sailors, and probably would not have been accessible to your average, especially the whalers, who were sort of in that entry level of maritime trades.
Wow. Wow. That's pretty fascinating. Wow. So, with regard to your historic songs, because we know about your background,
Mhm.
um, was it knowing about your family history that sparked your interest in the songs of those periods?
Oh, what a great question. Yes. As a matter of fact, my mother used to sing shanties to me as a child. And
Oh.
I was born and raised on the North Shore of Long Island. And there was a wonderful folk community there, believe it or not, during the 70s and 80s called the Guitar Workshop. And this had folks like Jeff Warner and Jeff Davis. It's where I first got in contact and first saw John Roberts and Tony Barron singing. Both of these groups and as individuals are powerhouses of traditional music. So both John Roberts and Jeff Warner were particularly adept at the sea music. I had always loved the shanties, and then when I chose a career in public school music teaching, my father was very disappointed because he thought I would starve to death. That has
Oh.
never been an issue. And then finally, I had gotten some summer work about 20 plus years ago. And I said, Dad, I got a summer job to supplement my income. He said, Yeah, oh great. Where are you doing? I said, Well, I'll be working at Mystic Seaport Museum in Connecticut as one of the shantymen. And he looked at me and said, Do you have a total and complete aversion to any kind of financial stability?
He's just being a dad. He's just
He's
being a
just being a
dad.
dad, yeah. So I was I worked with the shanty department there for 20 years, and learned to put the original shanties. This, by the way, is not a shanty. It qualifies as what's called a folksal song or an off-watch song, in that it's more of a ballad, it's more of a sing-along. To my knowledge, it was never worked at, and that's the definition of the shanty, is that you had to have a particular job that it was associated with on board. And very briefly, the rise of shantying is in the beginning of the 19th century, and the merchantmen and whalers from both England and the U.S. traveled to the southern and Caribbean ports, where they found people of West African descent, both enslaved and free, who were using as the stevedores and longshoremen the traditional West African call and response work songs. They then adapted those, we believe, there's a lot of good evidence to that, which then made the rise. They put it on board for the shipboard work, in addition to the fact that we'll get into this later. Many of the crews, particularly on the whalers, were of multi ethnicities, as we'll talk about when we look at the verses in this. And so those West African traditions were then adapted, employed, and used to do a lot of the work that was on board the vessels.
Wow, incredible, incredible. And so you're sharing this knowledge in workshops that you do that have really fascinating themes. I'm going to discuss just a couple of them. Sailing and whaling in the age of sail. What is that all about?
That is, whaling had a very, very long both European history and then it was brought over here. The very short version is 1600s, particularly on the coast of Long Island and New England. It was done as shore whaling. Pods of what were known as the right whale would head up the coast, and when spotted ashore, because there were lookouts in a lot of those small towns, you would have a cry of something like town ho, which meant everybody dropped what they were doing, got into their boats, small boats, went out, did the whale hunt, dragged it back, processed the whale, meaning extracted the oil, and the oil was used primarily for mechanical lubrication. Remember that this is prior to the 1859 when petroleum is discovered in Pennsylvania. But so there needed to be some type of really good lubrication that was not land animal derived, because land animal lubrication had a tendency to gunk up. Um, Sperm whale oil, just as a for instance, is the finest oil for lubrication that was known. In fact, it was still being used up through the Skylab missions and the Apollo missions
Wow,
for,
incredible.
for that. And so that was, unfortunately, now we're at a point, thank goodness, that we are able to synthesize all of those qualities, making it impervious to temperature change. The viscosity is some of the best, et cetera, et cetera. So watchmakers, for instance, would use whale oil. If you had a sewing machine during the 1950s, you got a little vial of lubrication. That lubrication was probably whale oil.
Wow. Incredible. Incredible. Okay, this is the man who knows it all. I just need to
No,
know
no, no,
about
no, no.
hold on. I need to know about this instrumental petting zoo.
Yeah.
Because that's up my alley. What is the instrumental petting zoo?
Well, this we do at things like long weekends, for instance, that like the Folk Music Society of New York. As a matter of fact, on weekend after next, this is an organization that Jerry Epstein actually belonged to. Um, and it is a club of musical enthusiasts that go away for the weekend and sit and play music. And what I have done is taken many of the instruments that I have, like banjo, mandolin, lap dulcimer, concertinas, guitar. Um, I am now in the midst of, much to the chagrin of my wife and my neighbors, learning the a thing called the Northumbrian small pipe, which it's a bagpipe, and along with the other instruments that I learned, really should have laws, but don't, you know,
Are you saying there should be a law against it? Is that what you're
against
saying?
learning them. Yes, playing them can be very beautiful, but the learning of them should be illegal. So I'm not sure how we're exactly going to work that out, but I'm sure.
Okay, so I'm imagining this. You've got a big furry rug. You sit it down on the floor in front of you, and then you put all these instruments on it, and people get to touch it and sit
It
with them.
and
Is
play,
that
and
what
I'll
happens?
give them an initial lesson and that kind of thing. Yep.
Oh, wow. I love it. I love it. When's your next one coming up?
That'll be weekend after next. That'll make it the 20. Oh, help me out. I think the 23rd, the 21st through the 23rd in Kerhonkson, New York. You can go to Folk Music Society of New York, and that'll have, or go to my website, which is Chris, Chris, and then the last name's a trick, Koldewey. We'll put it in the chat.com. And in my list of where I'm performing, there's a link to get to that weekend. And I'm actually going to
Wow.
be calling one of the dances that we have, and there are going to be some really amazing people. Chris, um, yeah, well, Moirin Hahasek, which is not at all because it's Gallic, not at all spelled the way it sounds. She is one of the foremost interpreters of the Celtic harp and Celtic music that's around. Uh, Her husband, Chris, is, and his last name just went right out of my head, but Newman. Chris Newman is an amazing, amazing guitarist. His skills are just fantastic, and he will be there. A couple of other really wonderful people, and folks that put the folk back in folk music, or that do it yourself, which is, this was the way people entertained themselves back before television, the internet, etc. We know
Right.
that people would learn countless, countless numbers of songs. There are some folks, like a little old lady living in East Jaffrey, New Hampshire, named Lena Bourne Fish, who knew over 300 to 500, it was one estimation, different songs. And this was the entertainment that you did when you were living in rural America, or even in the more cosmopolitan or urban
Wow.
areas.
Wow.
How people
That's
kept their
incredible.
traditions. Yep.
Yeah, that's incredible. Well, we definitely need to connect you with a daily antidote favorite, fan favorite, and he's also one of my choir director mentors, Dennis Donnelly. He is a shanty man, and you two definitely should know each other. Before we get back into the song, I want you to talk about Bernice Silver. Tell us who she is.
Well, her spirit will be with us forever. She left us during COVID, but she was as I understand it, a lifelong member of the Folk Music Society in New York. And she lived to be 106 and a half, and you had to put the half on, otherwise she would get very irritated. Um, and Bernice was the spirit and the life of that folk music society. She came with us to those weekends every year. Um, just a quick aside, there was a friend of mine who had brought, if you've ever seen those lumberjacks or Appalachian dancing men, they're on the board, and right, and they do exactly that. That's correct.
Look at Kevin, everybody. Kevin knows.
Kevin, and you bounce a board and they do that. Well, friends of mine had made a horse that Bernice, being a puppeteer, absolutely fell in love with. And for her 95th birthday, I had actually made her one, because I got in touch with the friends of mine that had designed it and said, "Can you send me the things?" They did. Great. So for her 95th birthday, I had this bag, and I said, "Bernice, you remember my friends at Gilman's? And I have something for you." And she looked at me at 95 with these, and looked up because she was 3 foot nothing, and looked up at me with those beautiful eyes and said, "You made me the horse." Okay. So she figured it out. And then as she's bouncing the horse, she started singing an authentic cowboy song that went, "I'm an alte Buck von old Kentuck, und wie ich geh, hab ich hard luck. Ich setze sich auf mein Pferdelei, ich kratz sich dort mein Bärdelei, ich hab de ganze Welt in Drädelei, yippee-i-yo-ki-yay, hey, yippee-i-yo-ki," which is in Yiddish. Okay.
Wow.
So,
Oh, my stars.
and it
Okay.
was it
So
was a takeoff on an old cowboy tune. I fell off the chair, because what it essentially means is, I'm an old I'm an alta buck from I'm an old buck from old Kentuck, and where I go I have hard luck. I sit on my beautiful horse, I stroke my beautiful beard, and the entire world can go to hell. So it was, I fell off my chair, and that was
an
Bernice.
early diss song. An early diss song. I love it. I
Early this
love it.
song. So we're going to next weekend down in New York City on Thompson Street down in Greenwich Village. My wife and I, Joy Bennett, are going to a memorial for her, and I will be doing
Wow.
that with
A
full
hundred and six and a
instrumental.
half.
Yeah, 106 and a half. Thank you for getting that half. I appreciate it.
Yo, I have to honor it. And then just what really quickly, Joy Bennett, she sings with you?
She does on occasion when we're talking to each other. No, I'm kidding. I am.
Okay,
She is
let's
the
bring it
love
back.
of my life. She is the love of my life. She performs mostly with a group called the Johnson Girls, who are an all-female shanty group. And I'm getting to a point where I think it's time that we take out the all-female because it does not need a distinction. They are shanty singers and damn good ones, and that's it. So
Okay, you got
that's
our
where I
vote.
am with
You got
that.
our vote. Chris, I'm going to get in trouble with you today. I got to get to work, and you are just so fascinating. I'm loving the conversation. Please say you will come back. Please, please,
I
please.
would be happy to, sure.
Okay, so before you go, let's go through the whole song again. And if there are any things that you are wanting to pick out just for us,
I do.
this
And
is the time to
before we
do it.
do that, if it's okay, part of the references in this is that sailormen or the whalemen were paid on what is called a lay, which means they are getting a percentage of that voyage. Once you come back, the whale oil is the commodity is being paid out. It's divided up, and they could get one, say, 16th for the captain of the voyage of the total price of the whale oil, which was a movable, like I said, commodity, or if they were a green sailor, could be getting one 232nd, for instance, of that voyage. So if they're not catching any whales during that 2 to 5 year voyage, and at this point, based on the year, the whole reason it's going north is because they're starting to open up the Arctic whaling, which they were going after what was called the bowhead whale, up around Alaska, and in some it was tended to be seasonal, but if that was the case. They were down for a couple of years. If they were going to the Indian Ocean, if they were going off the coast of Africa, if they were going to other places, that voyage could take upwards 2 to 5 years. One of the longest ones was 7 years on a boat out of Connecticut. So that's why they're talking where they come back and they did not have any money. Here's the problem with that. If you don't make any money, you now owe the ship because you may have, in fact, spent money on board to that ship, that company, if you needed some type of a knife, if you'd lost it, or anything like that. And you could be held and then put on that next whale ship going out for another 2 to 5 years in the hopes of making some money. Right?
Wow.
So that's where that line about we hadn't made a cent becomes really important. Like I said, the clue in this about season north is probably talking about that whaling that was going up in the Arctic. Um, the voyage was long and tedious as around the world for we went. And then to New Bedford, we hadn't made a cent, was looking at New Bedford, which was the center in the United States for the whaling fleet. It was starting to diminish by the 1860s. Two things that did that was one, the American Civil War, where the Confederate Navy went after them in particular because they knew that it was a northern commodity and they could strike at the economics. And then the other thing was in the 1870s and 80s, there were a number of fleets that had gotten iced in some cases deliberately, but then it got too much for them up in the north and it crushed an awful lot of the vessels, and they
Wow.
were then killed as a result of that. Um, Now, one of the things about the whalers is that they were owned in New Bedford largely by people of Quaker descent and Unitarian descent. And although the Quakers during the 1600s um, were in fact, and 1700s were in fact slave owners, they eventually started to wake up to the idea of abolition, realized that it was in fact contrary to the way that they believed and that they wanted to live their lives, as well as some of the Unitarians that were there. And it was known, remember, we talked earlier about the going into the southern ports as part of the rise of shantying. Well,
Yes.
the whalers and some of the commercial vessels that would go through those ports, in fact, would take uh, people trying to escape enslavement. And there's now a lot of evidence that it was even more of a route for the Underground Railroad than
Yes.
was the overland passage. And that more
Yes.
people, in fact, escaped enslavement via the whalers than they did. On the Charles W. Morgan, which is down in Connecticut, there is now evidence that there was, in fact, one person that we know of and can name, named James Hamlin, who signed on board for a couple of voyages as a person of enslavement who was escaping that. So,
Incredible.
yeah,
Incredible. I need to get you in a room with Baba James Harkless because I know he knows all of this back story. He knows all this information. But for right now, can
yeah,
we just do the chorus of the song? Can we do two choruses?
absolutely. Let me do
Two
that.
rousing choruses of the song.
Oh, let me get
Okay,
in the
everybody
part.
remember the part. Remember your part. We got it. We're ready.
So come along, I say. Come along, me jolly lads, we'll go another way. And when we've been a season north in this true and steady barge, we'll then go into some good port and get a true discharge.
One more time.
Well, come along, I say. Come along, me jolly lads, we'll go another way. And when we've been a season north in this true and steady barge, we'll then go into some good port and get a true discharge. Hey,
Woo, everybody. Wow. Chris, you've just been tremendous. Wow. Thank you, sir, for your incredible time, your talents, your heart, your creativity, your knowledge, your wisdom. And I'm so happy to know that you'll be coming back again. We definitely need to get you together with Baba James Harkless and Dennis Donnelly. And I'm going to be in there somewhere figuring it out. I'll be petting the concertina. That's what I'm going to do.
I
Everybody,
appreciate
give him a hand. Give him a huge hand. Thank you so much for all that. We look forward to welcoming you back here. You did a stellar job on your maiden voyage, sir.
it.
Kudos to you. Stellar, stellar.
Thank
Okay,
you.
everybody, let's breathe all that in. Oh, such joy, such joy. Okay, I forgot to announce. Are there any announcements that are coming up? Jojo, are you still in the room? No announcements? Okay. Before we say our final goodbyes, I want to again extend an invitation to any new people in the space today. This is what happens. The brilliance that you just got, this happens every single day. Please let us know your name, where you're tuning in from, your city, your country, and one of these days, you'll be invited to a petting rug with Joe Rossi. Joe Rossi's gonna make food and put it on the petting rug for everybody. See, I'm really putting you on the hook there, and she's gonna smell good. Okay, let me say goodbye to our Facebook Live family first. Thank you so much for being here with us. Always happy to see you. Wow, look at that profile.